Hi everybody, today we're going to be looking at the second part of our advanced payroll for MYOB. We're going to be looking at the entitlement for RDO, which stands for rostered day off. And typically the overview or how this entitlement works is that although it's not as regular or popular today as it was in the past, earlier organizations would have their employees, these are typically full-time employees, that would work an 8-hour day. So typically they would work, from 7 till 3. So they would work 8 hours. They would work, an 8-hour day, which will make it 40-hour per week. But instead of paying them the 40 hours, they would get paid the 38 hours. And what that does is it enables the employee to then take a day off, one day a week, in order for them to catch up on their errands and whatnot. So the benefit is twofold. First of all, benefit to the organization, they're getting employees to work longer hours, all right, 40 hours as opposed to 38 hours. And as you know, the 38 hours is a typical minimal for full-time employees. And anything above that usually comes into overtime. So the benefit for an organization is that they no longer have to pay their overtime rate for the 2 hours every week. The benefit for the employee, obviously, is they get a day off, one day off every month. And that obviously, you don't feel it as much because it's only an additional 2 hours that you're working every week. And you get a day off every month. So sort of two benefits, both for the employer as well as the employee. So how we need to administer that on our end is we need to keep a track of how many hours are being accrued every week. If that employee does work the 40 hours and gets paid only the 38, and we need to keep an eye on or keep an ability to work out once they do take a day off. We need to take that entitlement out of their balance in order to pay them the full week, but utilize that entitlement. So that's the concept of a rostered day off system and how it works. Now, the complexity comes about because of the fact that we have some employees that are on a salary and some employees that just get paid on an hourly rate. So they're both full-time, but if you're on a salary, your pay is fixed, irrespective of how many hours you're working. So the issue here is that because it's fixed, the calculation of the entitlement, both for RDO as well as other entitlements, gets a bit tricky on how to account for it. So that's what we're going to work through in this video and give you an ideas to how to go about it. I'm just going to pop this video on hold and I'll come back to you in a moment. Sorry guys, as I was describing, the complexity is due to full-time staff that are paid on an hourly and full-time staff that are on a salary. So we're going to look at dealing with both scenarios. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start creating the various categories and work through this slowly so you understand what needs to be done. I may not follow each and every step according to the exercise. So you can decide to either go about it as to how I'm covering it, or you can follow your handout. It's up to you. The end result's going to be the same anyway. So I'm going to go to payroll first, payroll categories, and I'm going to go to my wages category first. Okay. I'm looking here to see if we have a wage category for RDO. I don't. So I'm going to create some categories for RDO first of all, wage categories, which is essentially what step 1 looks at. So I'm going to go to new over here, and I'm going to go RDO, but this one's going to be for those that are on an hourly rate, just like that. And we need to change this to hourly. All right, and I'm going to use only Mary and Alan in these exercises to keep it nice and simple. Okay. Now, Mary is on an hourly rate, so I'm going to associate this category with only Mary. Okay. That's all that needs to be done here. Okay, so we click on OK, and I'm going to go new again, and this time I'm going to go RDO, and this one is going to be salary, and we need to change this once again. Now, you're probably asking me, this person is on a salary, why are we changing the wage type to hourly? The reason why is because this is used to calculate the hours accrued for the entitlement, not the calculation of the RDO. It's the entitlement side, the hours accrued and the hours used. So even though it's a salaried employee, we're using the hourly rate system to calculate the entitlement. So that's why that needs to be done there. And we need to go to employees and associate this with Alan. Okay. So this is used, these categories are going to be used for when Alan decides to utilize his entitlements. Instead of him getting paid his normal salary for that day, he's going to be using his RDO accrued hours in his salary for this entitlement. So that's where the wage category comes into the picture. All right, so that's the first step. Second step, I'll go over to entitlements now. Okay. So I'm covering RTO accrued entitlement category. I'm still on the first page, by the way. Okay, so I go to entitlements and I go to new here, and this time round it's an RDO entitlement for hourly, just like that. Okay, now a few things here. First of all, we need to work out the calculation basis. Okay, so this is on an hourly rate. Okay, so we've already worked out the calculation, and the calculation is 5%. The how we derived or how we came to the calculation is on the exercise. So if you want to refer back to that, so I'm going to go to percentage over here, and I'm going to put in the 5%, just like that. Now, linked wages account. This is important. We need to link this to the RDO wages account that we created earlier. Right, on the hourly one, because we're looking at the RDO entitlement on an hourly basis, which is that there, which is good. We want to carry the remaining entitlement over to the next year. This is not too important because this is something that they're going to be utilizing on a month-to-month basis anyway, but we'll leave it ticked anyway. What's important is we need to associate this category with Mary. So we go here, select Mary. Let's get rid of that. What's also important is this exemption. Okay, so when this person goes or utilizes this entitlement, we don't want them to accrue RDO. It doesn't make sense. If I'm taking a day off due to RDO, I don't want to accrue more entitlement for this category. Okay, so we need to untick that. You're not going to get overtime and so forth associated with this category anyway, so I'm going to leave that as it is. I'm going to tick that. We don't want holiday pay or long service leave or any of these other entitlements to be accrued when this person takes an RDO. So I'm going to tick those. Public holiday, same sort of thing. Let's just assume here that this falls on a public holiday. So that's what we want to do here as an exemption. All right, so that's the first RDO entitlement hourly. We're going to do the same thing. This time we're going to create an RDO entitlement for those that get paid a salary. Just like that. Now, calculation basis is going to be different. Okay. Looking at my worksheet here. Because they are because they earn a set wage each week. Their wage is independent on how many hours they work, right? They get a fixed entitlement for RDO of 1.9. Right, so irrespective of how many hours we put, they work a full week, they get 1.9. Those that are on a salary. So that's what we want to do there. That's good. We'll do the same thing. We come over to here. We go salary. This is associated with RDO salary. And we go to employees, and this is associated with Ellen. So we click on that. We get rid of this. We'll allow it to carry on. That's fine. Exemptions are blanked out. Doesn't apply. So we don't have to worry about exemptions. So the calculation for that 1.5, by the way, is on page 3 if you want to refer back to that. So I'm going to click on OK now. Okay. Good. So I'm going to close that. Now what I'm going to do in order to see how this all works is I'm going to delete Mary and Alan's old payslips. So we've already paid Mary and Alan in the previous exercise. I'm going to delete those. All right, so all I've done, I'm going through quick, but I've gone into transaction journal. I've clicked on payroll, and then that brings me up all my old payslips. I'm going to find, I've already done Mary. I'm going to click on Alan's old payslip, which is this one here. I'm going to go to edit and delete that. All right, so Mary and Alan have been deleted. We've only got these following employees. Now, just to show you how this works, if I go to reports now and go to payroll reports, and if I go to scroll down and if I find entitlements at the moment, if I go to balance summary, I'm going to hit display. It's asking for dates. I'm going to select up until, I'm going to select this current week that we're in at the moment. At the moment, we've got only Amanda and Freddie's pays appearing. All right. Now, I don't want that, so what I'm going to do to make things even easier to see, I'm actually going to delete all the previous pay slips, get them out of the way, so that way, that report that I'm looking at the current moment is going to be 0. Because I want to show you how, I'm trying to show you in a clear manner how the entitlements are calculated and so that you have an idea as to the calculation method. I'm going to do that again. So looking at this week, nothing to display, so that's good. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to pay Mary and Alan, okay? Now, we're going to base it on a 38-hour week, even though in a typical scenario, as I mentioned earlier in the video, it would be based on a 40-hour week, okay? But just for the sake of this video and the sake of the exercise, it's asking us to pay Mary and Alan 38 hours per week. Okay, so I'm going to go to process payroll now. I'm going to go to all employees. I'm happy with those dates. That's fine. I'm going to go to next. I'm only concerned with Mary and Alan, so I'm going to untick that. Only tick Mary and Alan. I'm going to go into Mary's payslip. I'm going to change the check number to DD. Once again, go to check here. 38 hours, as I mentioned earlier. Now, what we want to see is an RDO entitlement of 1.9 being calculated. Okay, so this is basically what this shows is once Mary gets paid, 1.9 hours, all right, from her 38 hours that she's working is going to go towards this entitlement of RDO. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to just delete these for now because I haven't yet set this up. So I'm going to just delete that just to make it nice and clean. So that's fine. I'm going to OK that. I'm going to now have a look at Alan's. So click on Alan's pay, DD, and same sort of thing. We've got 1.9. Notice how Mary, even though we put a percentage of 5% in, the RDO hours was 1.9. So automatically, based on the percentage in our calculation, it gave the correct entitlement based on the fact that she worked 38-hour week. Same sort of thing here. We put a preset of 1.9 hours for this entitlement for Alan, and that's come across. So that's what I want to see. That's good. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to change this to check again. Click on OK. And now I'm going to go ahead and pay these 2 employees. Okay, so once we've paid those 2 employees, I'm going to go to reports again, go to payroll and have a look at that entitlement summary report that I looked at earlier. I'm going to change the dates once again and hit display. Did it appear? Let me try again. Why is that? Here we go. Good. Okay, so you can see here that Mary and Alan has accrued as to an RDO entitlement of 1.9, and Alan, being on a salary, has accrued RDO entitlement 1.9 also. Available hours to use 1.9, and this is the value, the dollar value of this entitlement. So that's obviously based on the fact that Mary's on an hourly rate, he's on a salary, and it works out that this entitlement is costing our organisation this amount as a liability. Okay, so that's what I want to see. So let's imagine here now they work the following week and they get 1.9 hours again, and the following week again 1.9 hours, and so forth. Once they've built up 8 hours, they can then use this entitlement to take a day off and get paid for it. So that's how this works. Now what we're going to do in the next part of the exercise is we're going to now make the assumption that they've accrued the available hours to take a day off, but obviously they haven't because they've only got 1.9. So we're going to have a debit figure here when we do the next part of the exercise, but it'll give you an idea as to how it all works anyway. So I'm going to close this now, and I'm going to go to the next part. Okay. All right, so this gets a little bit trickier now because they're on an hourly in the salary. I'm going to go to process payroll once again. All employees once again. I'm going to use the same dates just to make it easier, even though in reality it should be the following week. And I'm only concerned with Mary and Alan. I'm going to go to Mary first, change this to DD once again, and change this to check. Now, this is where it becomes important. She is going to take she works 38 hours a week normally, okay? Now, she takes a day off. 7.6 hours is the amount of hours. So 7.6 times 5 gives you 38, okay? By 5, so obviously 5 days in a week. She takes a day off. So that's 7.6 hours in one day for her if she works a 38-hour week. If it was 40, this would be 8 hours. Okay, but we're basing it on a 38-hour week. Okay, so that's what we want to do. Change this now. So we go 38 take away 7.6, and it will leave us with 30.4. All right, so 30.4 plus 7.6 gives us 38 hours. So at the end of the day, okay, based on the fact that she's taken a day off, her net pay will be the same. Right, she'll still get paid the full week's wage, even though she took a day off RDO. And the additional super, $50 is per normal. The taxes is per normal. That's all good. Now, the RDO entitlement, notice this is 1.52, it's not 1.9 anymore, because the RDO is only payable on the base hours that she's worked, not on the RDO as well. Okay, so because we made an exemption earlier, if you can recall, we made this RDO category exempt when they take a day off or when they utilize the entitlement. So that's what you want to see. So that's good now. I'm happy with that. We'll continue. We click on OK. We'll now have a look at Allen's. Now, once again, we direct debit, pay through our check account. Now, with Allen, we don't have any L's, okay? But we need to make various adjustments. First things first, he takes a day off. Once again, he takes one day off, and because we're basing it on 38 hours, we're going to change that to 7.6. Okay, but what we need to do here is because he works and gets paid 730.77 independent of how many hours he works, so there's no hours to reduce here, we need to reduce his weekly pay by $146.15. So at the end of the week, he gets paid the same amount. So I'm just going to get my calculator here and just do a quick calculation. So I've got 730.77 take away 146.15. So I need to reduce this to 584.62. Okay, so he'll still get paid the same, although he's utilizing his RDO salary. Okay, so that's good. His entitlement for RDO is still 1.9 because the 1.9 is independent on how many hours he works. So this hasn't reduced itself, although Mary's has, because hers is dependent on how many hours she works. So that's what we want to see there. So that's all good. All right, now we'll OK that and process the pay, record this, and we'll have a look at what happens in our entitlement reports. So finish that off, go to our reports, go to payroll once again, come to entitlement summary. We'll change the dates once again to the end of the week, display. Okay, so reason we've got annual leave and personal leave now is because I forgot to delete that from the payslip. But what we're concerned about, right, is this here. So she's actually in the let's say red, maybe in the black at the moment. She has now, well, she owes the organization 3.42 hours. Okay. So the available hours she's got is -4 because she had only 1.9 to begin with. Took the 7.6 hours. Hence, she now owes 4.18 hours, which is exactly what we want to see. Same sort of thing over here. He only owes 3.8 because his RDO was independent, or his hours were independent. So he's still got the 1.9 hours, even though he didn't work the full week because he's on a salary. So that's why we see the -3.8 here. And obviously the values are in negative as well, because obviously the available hours are negative also. So this is how that works. So as I said, it's a bit confusing because of the fact that they haven't actually earned enough hours to take a day off. But what I wanted to make you aware of is how to process the pay utilizing the entitlement. That's what I wanted to pay your attention to. So that concludes rostered days off and how to use MYOB to calculate the entitlement and the hours. Thanks for listening.